Hello there friends, it's Evelyn here and welcome back to this, my very own little creative corner of the internet. First things first, a huge thank you to you all for your continued love and support for this little channel. Now Luna and I, she's down there just all cuddled up, are back on the channel here today to do some more spring sewing, my friends. Now spring is proving to be a little bit more than elusive here in the Scottish Highlands. One day it seems it's here and the next it's back to feeling decidedly wintry. So this week I thought, why not come up with a project that's perfect for those not so warm spring days. So today, my friends, I'm going to show you how to pattern draft and sew your very own perfect cozy cardigan. Cannot wait to get to this. I'm really excited because I've got some gorgeous knit fabric to create a cardigan. But before we get to that creating, my friends, if you haven't done so already, please hit that all important subscribe button so that I know you're there. But without further ado, let's get to creating while Luna carries on with her nap. Okay, so here is the fabric that I was talking about in the intro, my friends. This gorgeous heart print sweater knit. It's from one of my ultimate favourite fabric shops, Knighton Fabrics, which you can find on Facebook. And look at this, it's just the sweetest. It's got quite a nice amount of stretch, but the pièce de résistance, my friends, check this out. It's fleece lined. Hello, Looney. Hi, baby girl. Do you like it? Yeah. So this is what I'm going to make the cardigan out of today. So without further ado, let's get to that drafting. So let's get to that pattern drafting, and this is such a quick and easy project that it's just perfect for beginners and for those who want to get into pattern drafting but who may have been a little bit overwhelmed by the idea. So grab some paper, a pen, a ruler, a tape measure, and let's get started, friends. First up, draw a rectangle, the measurements of which are as follows. The width is your bust or hip measurement, whichever is larger, plus 4 inches, then divided by 4. The length, my friends, is the desired finished length of your cardigan from your shoulder downwards. This rectangle is effectively 1/4 of the bodice of your cardigan, or it will be eventually, and that's really all that pattern drafting is, my friends, drawing shapes using your measurements to create designs. Next, plot your sleeve measurement outwards from the top left-hand corner of your rectangle, measuring this from the top of your shoulder down your arm. Measure around your wrist, thinking about how much ease you'd like in your cuff, and divide this measurement by 2. Then plot that measurement down from the edge of the newly drawn sleeve line to create the wrist edge of the pattern. Grabbing that tape measure, measure around the top of your arm and underarm, again thinking about how much ease you want in your upper sleeve this time. Again divide this measurement by 2 and plot this measurement down from the top left-hand corner of the rectangle and make a mark. Draw a line joining this mark to the lower end of the wrist line. At this point, friends, you've drawn your sleeve. You can decide here whether to adjust the style of your cardigan. You could create a dolman sleeve by drawing a curved line from the wrist into the side of the bodice, seen here in green pen. This time though, friends, I'm going to create a dropped shoulder sleeve, making a mark 2 inches out from the top left corner and lowering the armhole by 2 inches, curving a line then between the 2 points, seen here in blue. This pattern then forms the back cut on the fold and the sleeve of the pattern. And once that back piece is modified, it will form the front too. Let's draw in the back neckline by plotting 1/4 of your neck circumference plus 1/2 inch out from the right upper edge of the pattern, plotting a mark 1.5 inches down and joining the 2 marks together to draw in, yes, you've guessed it friends, your back neckline. Now onto the front pattern. Begin by tracing a copy of the back. If you want to go with a simple open front cardigan, then this is your front and you can add any style line that you like. But I'm going to go for a button front, so next I need to choose those buttons. And I've gone for these chunky vintage buttons from my button stash. To create the button band, I'm sticking some extra pattern paper to the centre front of the pattern piece, that is as wide as my button plus 1 inch. Then it's time for style lines, starting with plotting 1/4 of my neck measurement plus 1/2 inch in from the right corner and then drawing in the V. And I've gone for a sloping V-neck that you can see here in blue pen. And here is my finished pattern. I've also drawn on a simple facing around the neckline and button band at centre front. This facing is simply 2.5 inches wide and is seen here on the pattern in green. Remember to add those seam allowances, my friends. It's time to cut out all those pieces. Now friends, I haven't cut out those facings yet until I've done a first fitting, just to be certain that I like the ease and I like that front neckline too. Then if I need to make any adjustments, I don't have to recut any facings. It's time to get sewing and I am extremely excited about this project already. First up, the side and shoulder seams on the bodice, remembering to keep the top portion open so that we can insert those sleeves. Then the underarm seam on the sleeves. I'm using a straight stitch on my machine to sew up this cardigan with a slightly longer stitch length of 3.5 millimeters, which works great for sweater knits like this one. Then insert those sleeves. And it was time for a fit check, seen here on the lovely Betty. And I was super happy with how this creation was already looking. I love this comfy, slouchy style and I'm really glad that I decided to go with the drop shoulder style because it just gives this cardigan a really cozy and relaxed feel. The only thing I'm going to tweak is the neckline edge at centre front. I'm not loving that sharp angle at the edge, so it's time to grab a pen and my pattern and give that a bit of a tweak. And all I've done, as you can see here friends, is curve the edges in a little to remove that sharpness. You can see it here in yellow pen. That tweak made, I transferred the change to my garment, and then it was time to get to those facings. Facings like these are a great way to quickly and inexpensively line the outer edge of a garment, and they really are as simple as they look. Drafted using the edge of your pattern, you can make them as wide or as narrow as you like, seen here on my pattern in green. The facing unit is then pinned all the way around the neckline edge of the cardi, right sides together, before being stitched in place. Turned to the inside of the garment, the facing gives a beautifully clean edge, which I understitch and then top stitch in place, which also gives a beautiful decorative detail too. Two birds and one stone, I hem the remaining lower edge of the cardigan at the same time. Back on Betty, the sweater is looking just how I imagined it, so now it's time to work on button placement. Pins and a fabric marker are really useful here, and I was really loving my choice of buttons at this point. Oh, when a project just comes together. Button placement decided, I marked on my buttonholes, and the general rule here is that your buttonholes need to be approximately 3mm larger than your buttons. And it was time to say a fond hello to my little brother machine for these buttonholes, because my chosen buttons are too big for my one-step buttonhole on my Netchi. And friends, it's always a good idea to keep all of your machines going regularly, so there was no better opportunity. Buttons and buttonholes done, it was time to hem those sleeves. And looking at my cardi, I decided that it needed a finishing touch. Little cuffs. I cut 2 cuff pieces, measuring around my wrist and adding 2 inches of ease, plus a seam allowance for the length of the piece, and the width was twice my desired finished width, plus seam allowance. The pieces are first sewn together into little rings by sewing the short ends together, and I used a zigzag stitch for these cuffs to help the knit fabric retain its stretch. The cuffs are then folded in half lengthways before being pinned and stitched around the wrist edge. A long length straight stitch sewn around the wrist edge of the sleeve is invaluable here to help gather the edge into the cuff by pulling on those bobbin threads. Cuffs attached, it's reveal time. Wow, my friends, what can I say? I absolutely adore this cardigan. I am so thankful that so many of my projects recently have been so incredibly successful. And this cardigan, well, it might just be one of my ultimate favourite designs. I absolutely love how comfy and yet how chic and stylish this oversized cardigan is. And I hope you love it too. Please, my friends, if you create one of your own, don't forget to share it with me here on YouTube and over on my social media too. But until next week, you take care, my friends. Bye.